The dev change order business process is to be used when an amendment is needed for an existing contract. The dev admin will initiate the request, which will then be routed to the vendor for review, then either the dev manager, dev director, or dev VP for approval. Approval routing will be determined by the total dollar amount of the amendment. Once routed through approval, the record will go to accounting for review. Once accounting approves, the record will be passed to PeopleSoft so that the appropriate contract in PeopleSoft can be updated. Approved dev change orders will automatically update the existing contract and schedule of values in Unifier. Let's now take a look at a demo of the dev change order business process. I've already gone ahead and navigated to my project, Avalon Irvine New Construction, selected contracts and payments, the change management folder, and selected dev change order. After clicking new, I'm presented with a dev change order form. The first thing I need to do on this form is to select the contract that I want to amend. I've selected the architecture agreement, and if I click on SOV, schedule values, it actually shows me the lines for this contract. If you remember, we set up 2 lines for this contract, each being $5,000. The next thing I want to do is I want to select the lines in which I want to amend, or I can add to this contract. Okay. If you leave the reference line blank and go ahead and add a cost code, this will add a new line to the existing contract. So instead of being 2 lines, it'll now show 3 lines. However, we're going to amend a existing line, so we'll pick inspection fees, click select. You'll see information pre-populated, and we'll go down to the bottom and we'll say that we're going to increase this line by $1,000, and I'll click OK. Now in the upper form, you'll see that I've pre-populated some information. By selecting the contract, much of this information is already populated. The amount is related to what I listed on the change order lines, so you'll see $1,000 here. I previously entered a scope of work, made mention that I did not attach a scope of work proposal from the consultant, and you'll see in this section here a summary of the original contract amount, which is $10,000. You'll see the amount of this change order and what the revised contract amount would be. Again, taking information from the detail form that we entered down at the bottom. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and push this to the next step. So I'm going to submit this record to the vendor for review. We'll select the vendor user, and only users for this vendor will show up. I'll click OK and then click send. I'll log out as the admin and I'll log back in as the vendor user. So the user will get a task notification. They'll open up the task. They will click on accept task. They can review all the information on the upper form, and this information is in read-only format. However, they can add comments, the only editable field on the upper form. They cannot edit the detail form, so they cannot add lines. They cannot modify existing lines. And when done, they can click submit, and now it'll go to the dev manager for review. So now we'll log out as the vendor user, log in as the dev manager, open up the task. We will accept the task. Dev manager can now review the information. Fields are in read-only format. They can see that the vendor has accepted or approved. Dev manager can add comments. They can review the lines. They cannot add lines. They cannot modify existing lines. And Dev Manager can approve or revise. If they select revise, it'll go back to the admin that created it. Once they click approve, it's going to go to accounting. Because the change order value is less than $20,000, this will not involve a director or VP. It'll go now directly to accounting. Click send, and we will log in as the accounting user. We will accept the task. Click on accept. Scrolling down, again reviewing the information, seeing that the vendor has approved, seeing that the dev manager has approved. No need for the dev director or dev VP to take action, and accounting can also add comments if needed. They can review the individual lines and again cannot add, cannot modify. They can always send for revision, reject it, or approve it, and then clicks on send. The record will now go for integration. The corresponding contract in PeopleSoft will be updated with this change. That change will be reflected in both applications, and the contract will now reflect $11,000 and not $10,000.